Willingness must be cultivated deliberately. It is an attitude of mind and depends not on outward conditions. Most people are willing or unwilling depending on their likes and dislikes. This habit tends to develop a bias toward unwillingness, which gradually becomes chronic and attracts to itself chronic failure. Don't wait for favorable circumstances to awaken willingness in you. Train yourself in the attitude of saying yes to life. Often, by this simple attitude, you will find success arriving unexpected at your door. We'll now practice the affirmation together. First, loudly. I welcome everything that comes.
I welcome everything that comes.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
I welcome everything that comes.
I welcome everything that comes.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
And now a bit softer in a speaking voice. I welcome everything that comes.
I welcome everything that comes.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
I welcome everything that comes.
I welcome everything that comes.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
Now in a whisper, I welcome everything that comes to me.
I welcome everything that comes.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
I welcome everything that comes to me.
I welcome everything that comes to me.
As an opportunity for further growth.
As an opportunity for further growth.
Now silently bringing this ever more deeply into your being. I welcome everything that comes to me as an opportunity for further growth. I welcome everything that comes to me as an opportunity for further growth. Practicing now this prayer together, feeling it in our hearts as we listen to these words. Lord, help me to overcome the satanic pull of unwillingness. The more I embrace life in your name, the more I feel your joy. Om. Peace. Amen. Such a powerful reading. Could change your life, truly. Welcome to, hi Nicola, yay. Welcome to this week, to each according to his faith. And this is our weekly reading from Rays of the One Light, the commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible. And we're on week 16, so that's amazing to see how fast this year is flying by. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 3, we read, "Every one that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God." It is a common experience shared by most people that when a person errs, he experiences a desire to hide that error from his conscience instead of holding it up for purification. Error clutches its misdeeds to itself and resists correction, though it is only in the state of purity that we can achieve perfect freedom. It requires an active will to offer that awareness up to the light and to hold it there until one's inner darkness is completely dissipated. For every state of consciousness has its own attractive power, and the more we allow that attraction to act upon us, the more we attract to ourselves the objective circumstances and experiences natural to it. Our faith is the attractive power of our underlying state of consciousness. Goodness attracts goodness. It takes goodness even to see goodness. Evil attracts evil, and it takes evil even to see evil, that is, to take special note of its existence. Whatever there is in you, darkness or light, offer it up to the heights. In the supreme light alone we will find salvation. Accept nothing less in yourself as your lasting reality. As the Bhagavad Gita says in the 12th chapter, cling thou to me, clasp me with heart and mind, so shalt thou dwell surely with me on high. But if thy doubt droops from such height, if thou beest weak to set body and soul upon me constantly, despair not, give me lower service, seek to reach me, worshipping with steadfast will, and if thou canst not worship steadfastly, work for me, toil in works pleasing to me, for he that laboreth right for love of me shall finally attain. But if in this thy faint heart fails, bring me thy failure. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. Om. Om.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. It was an interesting thing because in the challenge for this week, and I'll say that as a challenge, but I was literally just going to sit here and go, right, I'm just going to leave it to the hands of God and just turn up and talk. And I'm sure there's lots of people that have done that. But of course I couldn't. I had to do some preparation, so there was an action and then reading and writing and sort of formulating some stuff together. And I think that's a little bit about what this reading is naturally about, because, and we'll delve into it a little bit, but I thought I'd start just by reading from Whispers of Eternity. And these words are, bless me that I may perceive thee through the windows of all activities. Bless me that I may perceive thee through the windows of all joyous activities. Look upon me and cheer me always as I engage in my daily duties. Let my every action, whether waking, sleeping, or dreaming, be sprayed by the fountain of thy presence. Om Shanti 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 Om. Such a beautiful reading, and I think today is really amazing because I really love that ultimately what we're talking about today is the story of the Bhagavad Gita, and it, in its true essence. But before I start, I normally start with the dad jokes, so I will.
Oh yeah, Nicola
Doesn't know about dad jokes.
Nara's been on a roll, let's
But
say.
if your house is cold, this is a practical one, just stand in the corner. It's always 90 degrees there.
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, that is. I think we'd... it's interesting, as we read always the scriptures of many, and we hear the words from whether it's the Bhagavad Gita or Rays of One Light or the Whispers from Eternity or the Autobiography of a Yogi, the words are quite clear, and they're always talking about day and night, dark and light, shadows. And so really what it implies is that I don't think I've heard these words, I'm happy to be corrected, but I don't think they often talk about black. There's no black, it's not complete. There's always an element of light behind something. So it means that there's a shadow as opposed to complete blackness. That talks about forces of evil and it talks about shadows. And we, as we've evolved, to where we are now, we're seeking the light and we always bring light into things. And ultimately it describes that we're dispelling darkness, we're dispelling night. And as you know, particularly Nicola, when you're in the middle of the outback at night, sometimes you can see probably better at night than you can actually in the day sometimes, because of how illuminescent without other light being around that it is at night. And it's a wonderful goal to be towards. It's that goal of ultimate lightness within us. And the journey that we're on at the moment, and it talked about it there, is that we're always on this battle. The battle of the Gita is obviously that there are two sides, and there's soldiers presented that have the dark side, and then there's the light side. But either way, there's soldiers, aren't they? And if we read the words that were in that reading, it's where we put our energy, that expands. And so if we put our energy towards the dark, then the dark gets fed. If we put our energy towards the light gets fed. And it's kind of interesting. I was chatting to my dad the other day. He's geography and a bit of a historian. And we're talking about the wars, the First World War and the Second World War. And we're talking about how there was certain elements to it, and we won't go into the evil side of it. But ultimately what happened was, even in Papua New Guinea and with the Japanese, the soldiers actually forgot to be fed. Same within Africa with the Nazis, they actually forgot to feed their soldiers. They sent them out there. And one of the things that they were able to be overcome was the fact that they were starving and they didn't have the energy to continue what they were doing. And in both First and Second World War, it's kind of an interesting thing when you look at that from the Gita point of view as well. Here we are, we have two stories of, light and dark. One took all the great battlers, all the great energy on this dark side. And then we have the other side where Arjuna chose to bring Krishna with him. Now, Krishna couldn't fight, but he could be there. And if we look at both sides of that story, if you forget to feed those, or you feed one or the other, then they will grow in power. And often, from our perspective, on this light perspective, we don't want to feed that dark side of things. We want to feed the light side of things. And we want to always bring that in. And we want to feed those soldiers so that they become stronger and to be able to overpower those dark things. Now, interesting, through this Rays of One Light, it talks about the fact that we don't want to hide them, and that's hiding. We want to open them. I mean, ultimately, Divine Mother, and I like to see Divine Mother as the overwatcher of us all, is like our mum. When we were children, we always thought we could get away with stuff. I think that was in our nature to try and get away with things, but ultimately I think our parents could always see through it. And I'm sure Arati believes that I've got eyes in the back of my head. But we actually have these tells. That you can tell as a child whether we're telling the truth or not. So us down here on this planet, if we think that we can do, if we can see those things, well, surely God, who is all present, whether it's Divine Mother image or however you perceive God, but God knows everything in our hearts. And it's not until we open them up for cleansing and then we start feeding the light. Now, we've had lifetimes of developing habits. So, we hear this all the time. We can't just walk in and say, right, I'm going to stop. We can have the intention, absolutely, but we know that that doesn't work. But what we can do is feed the light side. So it's not honing in. So it's not honing in on that thing that we want to change. It's really putting light towards the opposing side of it. You know, if you've got an anger or you've got something there, then it's developing love that overpowers that hatred side. And it's kind of the essence behind what this story's all about. Or this journey, or that the reading is about. It's about putting that energy where we can present and be in light. And we've got this amazing opportunity to do that. And it reminds me of Swami's story of before he actually met Master. And he was on this journey for truth. And he realized that to find truth, he didn't want to engage in the world. So he moved to the country. And while he was in the country, he realized that he needed to meditate. He just wanted to meditate all the time. And he thought, well, I'm going to move to this place, the place that he was in, Lake something, I can't remember what it is, but it was a beautiful place, an absolute gorgeous place. But then he realized that he really, in America, there was no really such thing as sannyasis, where people walked past and gave you things to get through your spiritual journey. He realized he had to work, so he had to be a part of that world to work. And so his challenge was always around, well, how do I find work and how do I live simply? And so he put all this energy in. I think he was a lumberjack, and the person that hired him basically said to him, you're not that character, but hey, give it a go. And he didn't last long. And then the next one was mining, and same thing. Hey, you're not that kind of character. I'll give you a week. And anyway, he put the effort in, and he tried to do those things. So he recognized in himself what he needed to do. And so he went, well, I'm going to move to South America. And when he moved to his goal was to go to South America and live, because the cost of living was different. So he thought, I could work, then just basically sit and meditate. Then he came to the realization that he actually didn't know how to meditate. So even if he got to that point, like, what was the purpose? He knew that he needed that to find God, but he actually didn't really know how to do it. So he thought, well, what am I actually going to do when I get there? And then he realized within that moment, he thought, well, if I can't find God in this most amazing, beautiful place, then I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm looking outward. And he goes, I have to change that direction. I have to look inwards. And who's going to teach me to do that? And the minute he recognized that, he was ultimately asking for a guru. And within a very short period of time, one came. And it's such a beautiful thing within that. And it's the same story of the Gita. There was a choice right at the beginning to choose the army or to choose the guide. And the guide is what will bring and strengthen the light and be as a part of us. And we have an amazing line of gurus that are with us always to strengthen that light as we go about our day. And, you know, but it takes action. So everything that we do, whether it's feeding or we're going about our life, it actually takes action to overcome those things. And there's a beautiful story in the Autobiography of a Yogi, and it's about an American saint. And it was the same American saint that was spoken about that almost turned Swami from not reading Autobiography of a Yogi. That's Luther Burbank. And just in it alone, it's an amazing story of what do they call it? A botanist that studied plants, and he got cactus. And cacti, and he brought them in, plurals, that had these spikes. Now he sat there and he pondered about, well, they're actually in an environment now. They don't need their spikes. When they're out in the wild, they need their spikes to protect them from predators and all these evil things that are coming, or the perceived evil things that get them. So they created these spikes. So he pondered that question. Now, most of us in our life would probably sit on the ponder and go about our life. But to change that outcome, to get rid of those spikes, he needed action. And first of all, that they don't talk about in that action, he had to create the environment that didn't allow predators. And that's not really spoken about. But then he had to put energy towards the cacti. And every day spoke to them and gave them energy, told them how loved they were, told them that they were protected, told them those things. And eventually, without anything, those cacti dropped away their spikes, dropped away their things. So it's a beautiful lesson from the Gita, and that in itself, we need that action. We need that ability to have faith in moving forward, have faith in going forward, that we are loved and protected, and everything that comes towards us we accept as a way to move and grow towards the light. And we're really blessed, aren't we? You know, it's that focus that we have, that ability to do. Our beautiful guru said to us, don't lose hope, that if you can just for 1 hour have 100% focus on unity with the infinite, just 1 hour of soul concentration, you're going to find freedom. Hence, we have these beautiful techniques that work towards that goal in all that we do. And if we can't do it in meditation, we can do it in all our actions and bring those into our daily life. That's a beautiful gift, isn't it? Just 1 hour that we can work towards. It's not overwhelming. That's not overwhelming at all. Just 1 hour.
Thank you. I was just thinking as you were sharing that it's like a journey. We never know what joke might come in this week, or we live together, but I never know what stories he'll choose to share. So it's kind of like, woo, the whole time you're giving a talk. It's fun. So we all kind of know that I enjoy picking up the part of what's the connection between our affirmation and then the Rays of the One Light reading. And so there's this part here that I thought I'd just reread. Error clutches its misdeeds to itself and resists correction, though it is only in the state of purity that we can achieve perfect freedom. It requires an act of will. There's that word will, to offer that awareness up to the light and to hold it there until one's inner darkness is completely dissipated. And so it's the key to our freedom is when we align our will with God's will, which is a surrender of the ego. And until we surrender the ego, which has all the little bits of, I don't want to say things that take us away from happiness, right? That's the key.
Create shadow.
Yeah, yes. And when we learn that it's really a hard thing. I don't know why. Why is it so hard for us to just say, I'm done? It's attachments. They're the ones that are keeping us bound. And it's also these little habits of thinking and emotional responses and the vortices that are keeping us, here, and forgetting that all we have to do is surrender that ego. And the way that we do that is with willingness. And so even the word willingness is so positive. And one of the phrases that I used to bring to mind when especially Arati was little, every day she'd wake up like, I'm ready for the day, I'm ready. And it was like, wow, this kid, zest for life. And then if you look at the third chakra, one of its, positives is enthusiasm and zest. And it's an active, really positive energy. And and it's that energy that God can work through us if we act with high energy, servicefully. Then it's like not only that service, but also that meditation. If we just remember to offer it with willingness to God, then God can come in and we can cooperate with that grace. But it's the grace of God that's really helping us to change to where that light gets purified more and more. So it's like taking a dirty window and then clearing the debris so that our light can shine. But it's God's grace that allows us to do that. And with that, if we don't have that zest for life, what's the opposite? Those are those days where we're resisting, we're low, we're feeling moody or grumpy or reactive, we need to catch those moments and try to remind ourselves of the things that we can do to affirm the light. And it's a really powerful, these words from the Gita. Despair not, give me lower service. God's saying, okay, even if you're really feeling that badly, just even a little bit that you can offer me, I will take it and I will build it into something beautiful. But it's just remembering to be willing and saying, okay, God, just remembering God, that if God's there, that can be all it is. It's just pausing and reminding yourself God's there. Then it could be something like, okay, I'm going to do something kind for somebody. Or another one that's so easy and simple to do to shift your energy is just saying thank you to somebody for something they've done. It's not an easy one. And then 3 can be, meditating and chanting and doing something even that takes a bit more energy. And then just the other thing about that word enthusiasm and willingness, enthusiasm's root meaning is to be inspired by God. Isn't that sweet? So anything that you can do that you felt like in meditation you were inspired to do, every time we do those things that it feels like God gave us a little inspiration and we cooperate and we see it through and we act it out and we create whatever it was that we were inspired to create, or write the story or write the newsletter or help the child with some kind of wisdom that came to us. Those are all moments where God's speaking to help us and we're cooperating with that grace. And then a little bit of that smudge gets to be eliminated. But does that smudge come back? It doesn't have to ever come back unless we decide to, give water to that little weed over there. So every time we choose that light and we can live in that light, the less that the ego can say, wait, but that was so fun when I was in charge. It doesn't have the power that it used to have over us. It's so much more powerful when our own wisdom, through our own experience of what really brings us joy, every time we have faith in this path and these teachings, and we do these little things that the reminders are expressing to us, we have our own powerful experience that nothing around us can change anymore. It makes it easier to surrender and to then have that faith that if we cooperate with grace, it will change us. And when we do that with our whole heart and our whole willingness, it's like that jet airplane route that we're all hoping that we could get out of this mess a bit sooner. We're happy to be here without all the suffering, right? But if we can just continue to every day see as an opportunity to do this practice of willingness, one day you'll look back and you'll say, whoa, God really helped me. I'm not the same person anymore. I don't suffer the same. And that's a gift that we can hold on to. Did I forget my microphone this whole time? Oh, I hope you guys could hear me a little bit. Sorry. Om, peace, amen. I'm just kidding. But I think we all can relate to the idea here and how much power it has and the ability that it has to transform us. So our hope is that you can find those little things, those little steps, and then as you get stronger, they get bigger and bigger until one day you look back and you say, oh my gosh, God has just completely changed my life. And I am on my way to being free. That is the gift of this life that we have with this path and these teachings. We can be free from this suffering and surrender to the light completely. We all just want to be that, just pure, beautiful light shining on the loved ones in our light, in our life. So thank you. And we're very grateful for each of you to be here today. It was very nice to see your beautiful faces. And we have a little song for you, which we'll play now.
There's a bit of a story behind the song. When Swami talks about faith, he talks about blind faith. And, Master had lots of stories about how, people would go, oh, I've got Guruji now, I won't lock my car. And
right.
Things got stolen. And so we do have to, have faith, But we also have to have practical faith. That's why we're being given a free will and all those kind of things, and willingly put them in the right direction. So I think Swami said that, if Master would be just as happy because people would go, oh, well, Swamiji gave me this house. He'll give me a house if I need one. Well, Swamiji, as long as you're willing enough to say that Swamiji will, just if it's the right thing for you, take that house away from you and be just as joyful, then that's the right choice. And he spoke about this journey of a philosopher taking this boat trip over a river or a stream, and on the way he had this ego of pride, this philosopher, and intellectual pride that sort of spoke down to the boatman and was saying, well, if you don't understand these things, then you're not going to be able to find God, and you're not going to be able to do these things. So it's that practicality. And then all of a sudden the wind came up and a big storm came up, and the boatman was like humbled. He was like, hey, I don't know those things. But then as the boat was about to be swallowed up by the ocean, he said, well, do you know how to swim? Are you going to be able to weather the storm that's presented by God? And the philosopher couldn't. He ended up getting swallowed up by the ocean. So Swami wrote this beautiful song. It's called The Philosopher and the Boatman. And it's quite joyous and a beautiful story. So we thought we'd share it with you.
The way to perfection is narrow and steep. The bypaths are many, the pitfalls are deep.
By theory alone, many think to arrive.
Here's one who could teach them if he were alive. A philosopher stepped into a boat, the river to cross would he. So learned was he thought no man could be half so clever as he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. To the boatman he said,
Good man, pray tell of the German philosophers three, or Schopenhauer, Hegel, und weighty Kant, whom you deem the wisest to be.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Please excuse me, sir,
The boatman said,
I've not read your philosophers three. All day I'm obliged to ply these oars to support my family and me.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he.
In that case, my good man, your wretched life is as good as a quarter lost. Why, without the writings of those three men, not a shelf of books would I trust.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Now then tell me, good man,
The scholar said,
have you studied the Frenchman Descartes?
I've told you before,
the other cried,
I'm unschooled, hard work is my art.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he.
Hard work? What a waste! Sad, foolish man. Half your life has been thrown away. Yet still, a fragment might be redeemed. Memorize one theory a day.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Of a sudden a storm with raging might did lash that river to foam. Like a drifting pedal it tossed their boat till it seemed they'd never get home. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Then the boatman cried,
My learned sir, our chances are growing dim. 2 questions you've put me so far this trip. Now I'll ask you one. Can you swim?
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he.
I can't swim a stroke.
The philosopher cried, as he clung in despair to an oar.
Then the whole of your life is lost, my friend. You'll not need those books anymore.
Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a mighty scholar was he. The boatman regrets to say his fare never reached the opposite bank. All that ponderous learning inside his head gave him weight to see and despair. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a weighty scholar was he. Singing wise, oh, with his book so, such a weighty scholar was he. La 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 la.
That was a great way to end the joy of this week. I'll just